did not understand the command to just wave a one stick around. Okay, well, my topic is specifically on baseball players and their injuries. I was always fascinated by this sport. I've always been interested in the way they move, their mobility, but then the more research I started doing into it, I was more appalled by the amount of injuries that go unnoticed specifically in this sport, and I wanted to expand on that. And specifically, my best friend plays baseball, but isn't the best at it due to the amount of injuries he specifically suffers. So first off the bat, I wanted to first understand how their mobility is specific towards the sport, and I just wanted to practice, and I used my poor little brother in some reference photos. While he does not specifically play baseball, he has much more of an athletic build than the people I know, and I just wanted to practice on him. And then something I found interesting was a bunch of people have these mental overshadows, and it's a lot of the idea that your brain is what's stopping you from achieving greatness, and a lot of things have to do with the pain. And one thing I was trying to also uncover more is the mental aspect of their pain and how it's not only physical in the arm or leg, but it's also internalized. And one way I wanted to really show that is through the spray paint, and then in the next you'll see more about that. I wanted to show that even in times of victory, for example, like the home run that they specifically achieved, it can be overshadowed by mental or physical pain. And in this way, I tried to show both. By in the middle, there was a player suffering physical, but then the player that you see who's looking amazing has more mental pain, which overshadows his physical or his victory that he had. And then I wanted to revise that piece and especially focus on mental, because only now in this day and age are we truly understanding the depthness of mental health and how important it is and crucial in our everyday lives. And imagine you're doing this for a living. Mental game is as important as your physical game. If you are not 110% on your mental, then your physical will go down. And there have been cases I've read before where there have been players who have lost a certain position, have just had one of the worst outcomes possible, and have resorted to taking their life. And I just thought that it's a boundary people should not have to go through or cross. And that's why I used specifically the caution tape, and I highlighted the do not cross as it's a boundary people should avoid crossing. And then something I wanted to focus on in addition to that is how people view baseball players. I know a lot of people are going to say, have a role model. Who is your role model? What's your role model? And a lot of people actually view them as superheroes for all that they can do, all the entertainment they provide. They grow up watching them, it's part of their lives. They view it with their family. It's become such a crucial part of who they are, and I wanted to make a connection between how kids view these people as superheroes. And imagine their superhero gets injured or something happens to them. It's almost can be heartbreaking to them. And then tying off to that comic book style, though, I wanted to focus on a bit more pencil sketch, and I wanted to go back to that mental. It's something, a recurring theme common in all my artworks. I wanted to show that while their thoughts start out progressively more docile about how they want to go home, they're not having a good game, it's not their best day, it goes and starts getting more and more deeper down to the root cause of how it all just hurts. No matter what they do, it hurts. And I didn't specifically specify if this was mental or physical, but it was just the idea that it all hurts, I want to stop. And then this is one of my bigger revisions that uses a bunch of different elements. I really enjoyed the theme of the spray paint and showing that this mental confusion, cluster, it all can be too much for people, and the idea that it's all coming together at a sudden moment and there's no clear path is something that I think is prominent to a lot of people. While I wanted to stay more on the physical with this one, I thought at some point it all just comes down to the fact that it really hurts for some people. Now this was one of my more bigger pieces. This one I did more in the beginning of the year, and I just thought, wow, I really like the colors, and I wanted to focus on specific colors. And then I started thinking about how a lot of players you see, you don't know if they're truly hurt or not. And so I took some little photos, I made some little photos, and each photo, I don't know if the screen properly shows it, but wherever there's a little pin, there's a little red area that matches the photo, and it shows that there's this part of pain that really hurts in them, but they're not going to explicitly show it. And when you look at the player himself, you don't actually know about this. And then this was one of my biggest pieces of this entire semester. I've only had 2 pieces, and one of them I was really trying to come home with the idea of the mental aspect of this game. And a big problem that my research has shown is winner's high in baseball. When a lot of players have these winning streaks, having a loss can be soul crushing to them. And a way I wanted to associate this is with gambling. How, for example, if you're winning constantly at these games, one loss can take it a lot away from you. And then using some analogies, I made the ace their best player on the game. But in this process, their ace, the best player, can get injured, but they're forced to come back. Now, whether or not they're fully themselves, that's up to debate, but they still, no matter their injury, they're not 110%, but they have to be on the field to carry their team to victory, which a lot of people have seen happen before. And this is just some process photos about what I've done. I had some complications with the cards because pencil's really hard to draw on them, and so I had to practice a lot of times on paper, redo the sketches, then try to transfer it over the card, mess up, and then try again for several of them until I got roughly 17 cards finished. And then this is the first complete piece I had, so this is as close to the casino table as I was able to do at the time. So actually under the cards, there's felts that I had, and I specifically tried to paint over the felt and spray paint it to match that specific green that is associated when people think of casino tables. And then I'm thinking, how can I show that this is baseball, and what's a more common thing in casinos? Poker chips, or as I call them for school grounds, monetary value substitutes. And so throughout the game, you can see who's specifically placed. I specifically had their numbers showing who's where. And I wanted to show that even the best players have to work with the best. And if they're not, then they're just not in a fair advantage. And then to really bring this piece back, I wanted to make it as close to a table as possible. And so that meant I had to scrap the canvas and redo the green paint. Then I added a baseball field underneath. Then I actually got wood chips from Michaels. I painted them so that they looked like these monetary value substitutes or poker chips. And then I tried stacking them together. I super glued it all to a big canvas, which I spray painted it brown before. And I thought, the real quote that started this all was a Jackie Robinson quote, one of the most famous baseball players of our time. And it was actually associating how everyone wants to see you winning, but when you're behind. Oh no, sorry, I'm saying the wrong thing. But it's actually in the very beginning of the quote, it shows baseball is like a poker game. And that is what started this whole semester-long piece. And then I'm finishing off with a big piece. I started back in October, I believe. And it's almost as tall as me and about 4 feet wide. And I had started working on little players in the corner, and then I wanted to bring home that comic book theme. I think that a lot of people value comic books, and this was one of the ways I can also represent them, but also show my SI topic the best I could. And the way I did that is I started painting the 2 players, and then I made little frames of where the small canvases will go to show the action of swinging a bat. I then had a little baseball to show what is happening and what this is specifically about. And then I realized I don't really particularly enjoy the black background because, as you see before, it was just plain blue. And I thought, well, let me focus on something that I had been bringing up a lot of times, and it's that mental confusion and constant thoughts buzzing through your head. And I thought the best way I can do that is cover up everything, spray paint it, then show it. And now it's hanging up in the gallery. Thank you, everyone.